A man dressed as his sister in the middle of the night, not sleeping, he runs with Lao wanting some intimacy. Will he satisfy him? The story begins a few days ago. The man's name is Svaha. To replace his runaway sister and marry a sick man for good luck. As soon he said goodbye to his grandmother and came to this household. Just as he was about to enter, someone called out to him looked behind. Knowing he was the future sister-in-law, he warmly led him inside. He also complimented his nice name. Later he found out this person was his husband's brother, Soon he was brought to the bedroom. Svaha looked at the mother and son, feeling lost. A smiling mother-in-law and a husband lying in bed like a ghost. Those eyes looked like they wanted to devour him. The mother-in-law introduced her son, saying, "This is your wife. From now on, he will take care of you." The person lying in bed was very unsatisfied. "Looks too young. How old are you?" Svaha was still hesitating how to answer when he got slapped hard. The mother-in-law smiled and said, "Don't make me repeat myself." Finally faced reality, he wouldn't have good days ahead. Every day he lived a humiliating life of constant beatings and scolding. He couldn't just run away like his sister did. The only thing that made him happy was finally getting to eat good food. But soon even that privilege was taken away. He could only comfort himself that eating too much would make him bulky and people would realize he was a man. That day he was bringing food to that sick guy. Reason he started going crazy again. He even knocked the hot food to the floor. Svaha got burned on his hand because just as he was enduring the scolding, his brother-in-law came. Not only did he help him out, but also took him to get bandaged. Made that his brother-in-law was a college student. Very talented. But he and his brother didn't collapse. Just as he was lasted. His brother-in-law grabbed his hand and said, "Taking care of my brother must be hard. Run away when you get the chance." Then he gave him an encouraging look to try it, and turned and left. Svaha stood there stunned. At night lying in bed, he kept thinking about what his brother-in-law said to him during the day. And his stomach was too hungry, keeping him from sleeping. He wanted to go to the kitchen to find some water to ease his brother-in-law who told him to escape drinking in the kitchen. His brother-in-law also turned around meaningfully, looking at his sister-in-law who wasn't sleeping in the middle. A man disguised as a woman married a sick man for good luck. Every day he lived a life of constant beating Svaha. What's that? But at night he would go to the kitchen and meet with his brother. Only because during the day this family would let him eat. His brother-in-law figured out the truth and would leave him some good food every day or bring him some from outside. Moved Svaha, who came from a poor family. That day he was feeding water to the sick guy. Unexpectedly, this guy actually put his finger in his mouth and sucked. Not only that, he said with enjoyment that it tasted good. This really disgusted Svaha, just as he was thinking whether to chop off his dirty hand. The phone rang. It turned out his brother-in-law had left an envelope at home and asked him to bring it to school. Soon Svaha arrived at the school, thinking his brother-in-law must be very hungry. But when he eagerly opened the classroom door, Svaha was stunned. His brother-in-law was actually playing board games with a girl. "Didn't you say you needed it urgently?" Thinking about his unclear feelings for his brother-in-law all these days, he felt embarrassed. He ran home without even giving the envelope to his brother-in-law. Lying in bed, Svaha couldn't help thinking about that scene in the classroom. If only the person with his brother-in-law was him. Soon he was trembling all over, his body releasing all its energy. But he wasn't happy, instead he cried. The next day at breakfast, his brother-in-law asked him why he didn't come last night. Did he think he was dirty? Svaha said no. But when his brother-in-law tried to be affectionate with him like always, he refused. He also said he wouldn't come here at night anymore. Then he left without looking back. Svaha ran to the bathroom and finally couldn't help crying. He felt ashamed of his dirty thoughts. His brother-in-law being good to him was just out of sympathy. Maybe he should leave this place. Just then, shouting came from outside. Opening the door, he saw his evil mother-in-law happily saying it was all thanks to him. Her son could now walk. She also demanded that he never leave her side. They would also sleep together at night, and she would arrange their wedding soon. Svaha found it unbelievable. He didn't expect he could really bring good luck helping the sick guy to the bathroom. Suddenly he was hugged by him. Unexpectedly, this scene was witnessed by his brother-in-law. Then he ran downstairs with him. This really angered the sick older brother behind them. What crazy person. Soon the two came to the basement. His brother-in-law pressed Svaha against sister-in-law. Did I do something wrong? In-law actually eloped with his sister-in-law in the middle of the night. Ever since that day when his brother-in-law took him for that talk, he never returned home. The evil mother-in-law quickly arranged for Svaha and her son to sleep in the same room. Svaha, who had just fallen asleep, suddenly felt something pressing down on her. He thought it was sleep paralysis, but when he looked, he got a shock. That was his sick husband. Unexpectedly, as soon as this guy recovered a bit, he started showing his true nature. He even said they should consummate the marriage early. Svaha couldn't stand this. He directly hit the guy's vital spot. He quickly got up and ran away. He flew down the long stairs in 2 steps, trembling as he knelt on the floor. Just thinking about that scene made him feel sick enough to vomit. He really wanted to leave this place right now. Then a familiar voice rang out. When Svaha looked up and saw who it was, he finally cried out in grief. He couldn't help but throw himself into his brother-in-law's arms. So he didn't know exactly why his sister-in-law was crying like this. But his brother-in-law guessed it must be his brother who bullied him. Just like that, his brother-in-law eloped with his sister-in-law in the middle of the night. But unexpectedly, Svaha fell asleep from crying too much. When he woke up, his brother-in-law kept laughing at his puffy eyes, even saying he was cute. Svaha couldn't handle his brother-in-law's teasing and blushed, telling him to stop. His brother-in-law said, then he took Svaha's hand and got out of the car. The two sat on the car roof enjoying the night ocean view. Sixio asked him if he liked the ocean. Svaha said he didn't. He had never thought about this question. His brother-in-law said he didn't like. Svaha didn't understand why he would come here if he didn't like it. Then he heard his brother-in-law tell the story of almost drowning as a child. When he was 12, his family and his father's friends and families often vacationed together. When playing, he also wanted to join them. But they thought he was too boring and wouldn't play with him, so he chose to play alone. Then his brother Zhao Tai came up behind him. He and his friends pushed him into the water. Every time he tried to get out, he would be pushed back into the water. When the adults found out, they thought it was just kids playing, and didn't take it seriously. From then on, he started learning to swim. Svaha didn't understand. If he was afraid of water, why learn to swim? Sixio told him that hate and fear are different. If he can't overcome fear, if he can't defeat it, it will control him for life. Listening to his brother-in-law's childhood story, Suo didn't want to hide anything from him either. He nervously said he didn't like his brother because grandmother wanted to sell his sister. His sister ran away, so grandmother sold him instead. Then he couldn't help crying. Just when he wanted to confess to him that he was actually a man, his brother-in-law interrupted. Suo finally decided to leave this filthy place. But before leaving, he knocked on his brother-in-law's door. The story goes back to the morning. The two who had spent a tender night by the sea still returned before dawn. Although Suo was reluctant to leave his brother-in-law, he had to face reality. He quietly returned to the villa. The maid was surprised that the new bride was up so early. Suo said somewhat guiltily that he just got up early. The maid went to prepare breakfast. Suo stopped her and asked how the two brothers' relationship was. The maid hesitated, but seeing no one around, she leaned close to his ear and whispered that young Master Shixio wasn't born to the main wife. His mother died long ago and he was brought in as a newborn. Suo was shocked. He didn't expect the truth to be like this. In the room, staring at the eldest son who he had beaten black and blue last night, the person was the one who tormented and hurt young Jing Shixio, half-brother Jiang Xitai. Then he said coldly, "You're really disgusting." After saying that, he turned and left. Now, he finally had to admit that he liked Jiang Shixio. But soon he was furious listening to his mother-in-law's conversation with her friends. They praised him in front of people as proper and dignified, but behind his back called him a witch's son who gave them goosebumps every time they met. His motives for approaching her son weren't pure either. A caregiver would come soon, and then they'd send him away. At this moment, Suo couldn't take it anymore. He wanted to leave more than anyone, to get away from these disgusting people. But if he left, he'd never see him again. So before leaving, he decided to see his brother-in-law one last time. His brother-in-law looked at his sister-in-law knocking on his door in the middle of the night in disbelief. After Suo came in, he sat directly on the bed. After hesitating for a while, he still asked what relationship the woman at school with you was. His brother-in-law found him somewhat amusing. They had even kissed, but now he was curious about this. Then stroking his hair, he said it was just a relationship of occasional need. Sister-in-law will understand that kind of relationship when she grows up. Or are you curious about that? Suo looked up at him. Have you ever been intimate with a man? In-law was stumped. He didn't understand why Suo would ask such an absurd question. But he still answered no. The next second, Suo grabbed his hand and let him feel what the man possessed. His brother-in-law was shocked speechless. His sister-in-law was actually a man. The man didn't expect his sister-in-law would come to him in the middle of the night and ask if he would help a man with relief. He had known for a long time that he was different from his brother. His parents' usual attitude toward him, the servants' strange looks, and always wanting to kill his brother. If he couldn't even see this, then he'd really be an idiot. Until one day, a man claiming to be his uncle appeared. He told his mother was someone else, and after giving birth to him, she was sent abroad before fully recovering. Although she really wanted to come back to see him, she couldn't due to financial difficulty. She died tragically in a foreign land 3 years ago. That's when he learned he was an illegitimate existence. Why would she be with a married man? Since she didn't have the courage to fight for him, then why give birth to him at all? After learning the truth, he didn't change at all. He chose a major unrelated to his father's business, and he wasn't serious about college. Just like a carefree playboy with no attachments. Just like that, he silently endured and hid himself for a long time. But 6 months ago, when Jiang Xitai got sick, an angel descended. Looking at his cute sleeping face, did he really cure Jiang Xitai's illness? If he discovered the lie, he would definitely punish him severely. My sister-in-law. How he wished his parents, brother, and this house would all completely crumble. That would be wonderful. The next morning, Suo looked at the still sleeping Jiang Taixi. An unpredictable person. To think he liked someone like this. While he probably preferred cute and beautiful women. Forget it. Better not think about it. Anyway, he was about to leave this place soon. After his shower, Suo wondered how he would be kicked out. But when he nervously opened the door, he was horrified to see Jiang Taixi covered in blood, lying motionless on the bed. After a night of passion, when the door closed, his mother-in-law turned around angry looking at Jin. Why aren't you gonna find Xitai? What are you standing here for? Suo was startled and quickly turned to go upstairs. But his mother-in-law didn't stop talking. If you had any conscience, you should be more proactive. Don't you see how much money I spent to bring you back? Useless then. Suo, who was going upstairs after helping Tai spent his medicine, Jin peeled the candy and fed it to him like every day. Unexpectedly, this sick ghost sucked his finger into his mouth again. Suo quickly pulled out his finger, but then heard his mother-in-law's voice behind him. Shameless. Facing the old woman's insults again, Suo couldn't take it anymore. He turned and walked toward the door. He walked faster and faster until he reached the tall gate, looking up at the blue sky outside, hearing his mother-in-law's foul language in his ears. He didn't want to stay here for another moment. So he forcefully pulled open the gate and ran out without looking back. Not stopping for a moment, he soon reached the phone booth and quickly dialed his grandmother's number. After connecting, he asked the person on the other end how much longer he had to stay there. Unexpectedly, grandmother said coldly, "Even if you die, you're their family, there's nothing about coming back. Take good care of your husband." Suo was furious. "I'm a grown man. How could I have a husband? Where's the money from selling me? You use it to pay dad's gambling debts again, right? You think he'll pay it back?"